In this section, we're going to cover fractions, decimals, and percents. We're going to try and be comfortable with working with all of these. So the first thing that I'm going to say is what is a rational number? That's something that you can write as a fraction. So some example. So a rational number is a number you can write as a ratio, which means it's a fraction, of integers. So it's not like 1.2 over 3. That's not necessarily a rational number. We could fix it, but it's writing it as integers. So actually, that is a rational number, but to make sure of that, we'd have to have integers, not decimals. So an example would be like 3 over 4, or any whole number, like 2 or -7. Those are all rational numbers. You could have like 5 over 2. You can, yeah. So those are rational numbers. Irrational numbers are numbers that repeat on forever. The decimals repeat forever, but never repeat. I shouldn't have said repeat on forever. They go on forever, but they never repeat. So the most famous irrational numbers are pi, because that's 3.141592651 something. But it continues on, and it never repeats any part of it. It's always something different. You can find some, like, it never repeats. It has a decimal that goes on and on forever. E is also the same way. It's like 2.717 something. Also never repeats. Or like the square root of 2. If you put that into the calculator, the decimal won't repeat. And I'm talking about like repeating, like I can say 1.37 repeating. That's the same thing as 1.3737. So the 3 and the 7 repeat. So that is not an irrational number. Those are rational numbers. You can figure out a fraction for that. But these, they have no fraction, but they're still numbers. They're just irrational. So there you go. So let's look at, so we talked about rational numbers, which are fractions, and irrational numbers. Let's look at rational numbers and see if we can be comfortable with manipulating them. So I'm going to do a first example. So this question looks kind of weird in the way that it's worded, but it says, what fraction of 54 is 2/7 of 102? So this is a very, very complicated way to word this problem, but it's not so bad once you understand it. So what fraction of, so the question is, what fraction? Like that's what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find out a fraction. Could be a whole number, or it could be an actual ratio of integers. Like it could be an actual fraction without having one in the denominator. But the goal is to find a fraction. And the way we can write this part, it says what fraction of 54? Well, I'm going to say x is the fraction, so that's going to be my answer. So some fraction of means multiply. So I'm going to say the fraction times 54. What fraction of 54? So I'll multiply by 54. Becomes the equals. So some fraction of 54 is going to be the same thing as this fraction, 2/7 of 102. So I'm just translating this. Fraction of 54 becomes the equal, and 2/7 of 102. And then what I do is I simply solve for x. Now I'm multiplying these. You could multiply that out, but I don't really want to yet because I'm going to be dividing by 54. Maybe something will help. So I'll take both sides and I'll divide it by 54. Remember, dividing by 54 is the same thing as multiplying by 1 over 54. So really this 54 just stays in the denominator. So I get x equals 2 times 102 divided by 7 times 54. And then I'm going to reduce. I can divide the top and bottom by 2. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. So what does this change to? It changes to x equals just 1 times 102. So that's just 102. And then on the bottom, 54 divided by 2 is what? 25, 26, 27 times 27. There we go. And I want to see if I can reduce beforehand, before I actually multiply these out, because that's going to be a big number. But 27 is divisible by 3, and 102 to 3 is also divisible by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3. Maybe I could divide by more, but I don't know. So I'm just going to divide by 3 from here. And I get 34 on the top, and then I get 7 times 9 in the bottom. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I can't divide by 3 anymore. Can't divide by 7. I think 34. You can divide it by 2. 2 times, what is that? 15, 16, 17. Yeah. So I can't divide by anything else. So I'll multiply this stuff. And I get x equals 34 over 63. So that's my answer. Remember I said at the beginning that was going to be my answer. So 34/63 of 54 equals 2/7 of 102. It's a really complicated way to word it, but we're saying that this fraction times 54 gives me the same thing as this fraction times 102. That's all it's asking for. So there's that example. I think I'm going to stop this video and then continue on in another one.